Good morning, everyone. Before I dive in, I'd like to ask each of you a question. When was the last time that you had truly lived in the moment? And I mean those moments where everything fades away, no thoughts of tomorrow, no endless to-do lists, just you, fully present, here and now. Hi, I'm Yostina Adugna, and this is my story on how I'd learned to live in the now. See, for me, learning to live in the moment wasn't a choice. It became a necessity. But it didn't start with some profound realization or some life-altering epiphany. It started with what I thought was just a trip. An unexpected vacation, which I assumed would be a week off from school, or maybe even some shopping. I was 13 years old when my parents sat me down and told me I'd be going to Bangkok for medical tests. In my mind, I had thought this would be a break from my usual routine, an adventure, but I couldn't have known just then how different of an adventure it would be. After just a few days in Bangkok, I'd begun to understand that this wasn't a vacation. In fact, I'd found myself in a hospital room filled with doctors, nurses, and medical equipment, quickly becoming the landscape of my everyday life. My parents eventually told me the news, with words that I barely knew to understand. Leukemia, cancer. At 13, the words didn't quite register, and it felt as though it was happening to someone else entirely. See, my diagnosis had weighed heavily on my mental health. I was scared. The future that I had once imagined for myself felt out of reach, and each day was a struggle. The first 10 days in the hospital went by like a blur, a mix of confusion, fear, frustration. I had gone from wondering what I'd be able to do with my friends back home to wondering if I'd be able to see them again. My entire world had shrank down to the walls of that hospital room. And suddenly, everything that seemed so sure in my future, every little thing that I took for granted, was no longer quite so sure. I'd lost touch with friends as time went on. They kept moving on with their lives while I was forced to stay still. And it felt as though life was on hold, but only for me. As time went on, though, I started to look at things a little bit differently. With all of my distractions stripped away, I started seeing things that had once slipped by me unnoticed. See, every day was a new day. The comforting hum of the nurses outside my room, the way my parents' smiles seemed a little more tired, yet a lot more meaningful. As I'd said before, my entire world had shrank down to the walls of that hospital room. But within that same room, I had come to understand just how precious life could be. In the months that had followed, I faced a series of challenges that had forced me to slow down and face a side of life that I had never been prepared to see. See, it wasn't just about fighting an illness. It was about finding ways to sustain hope, even when it seemed like there was none. I started counting even the smallest of blessings, and these habits became my anchor, keeping me grounded in the present, even when my mind wanted to wander into my fears. It wasn't something that came to me naturally, but over time, it had changed me. And it was something I took with me long after the hospital rooms. That period of my life had taught me just how fragile and beautiful life could be, and it gave me a new understanding of how I wanted to approach everyday life. So here's what I'd like to share with all of you today. Don't wait for that life-altering moment to show you the beauty of today. It isn't about the next big accomplishment, the next big thrill, or even the next important life goal. It's about realizing that every single moment that we're given is an opportunity to truly be alive. See, there's a value in slowing down and taking time to see the people around you and taking in the smallest of joys and breathing in the now. See, tomorrow may be unclear, But this moment right here is yours. And that's something worth holding on to. Thank you, everyone.